afternoon, and welcome to City Planning's 2024 to 2028 Capital Improvement Plan public hearing. City Planning conducts these meetings every year during the capital budget planning process to allow departments an opportunity to present the projects that they requested funding for. It also gives the public an opportunity to listen in and ask questions about what is being proposed for each department, and to better understand the 5-year vision for facility upgrades and improvements. What we've been asking agencies to do is to go through all the projects that they've requested and provide a brief description of what that request is, and funding sources, and allow for any questions or comments that might come up. So if we could start with a round of introductions. I'm Larry Massey, Deputy Director of the City Planning Commission.
I'm Vince Smith, Director of Capital Projects.
Carrie Bradshaw, City Planning Commission Brownfield Program Manager.
Miguel Gutierrez, Capital Projects Project Manager.
Turn it over to you, Carrie.
Okay, well, as you know, this is not a request. This is a report of where we are with the Neighborhood Support Activity Center and the grant that we applied for and was awarded. So I'm going to just read a brief description.
Okay.
The City of New Orleans City Planning Commission Brownfields Program applied for and was awarded a $2 million grant from the Environmental Protection Agency to support the environmental remediation of the former Naval Support Activity Complex located in the Bywater neighborhood on the border of the Lower Ninth Ward. The award, posted early June 2023, was from the EPA's Brownfield Cleanup Grant Program, funded by the 2021 Infrastructure Investments and Job Act, also known as the Bipartisan Infrastructure Law. The Brownfields Cleanup Grant Program provides funding to carry out remediation activities at contaminated sites to allow for future development. Funds are used to address sites contaminated by hazardous substances, pollutants, or contaminants, including hazardous substances such as petroleum. The former NSA complex was completed in 1919 by the United States Navy and was used as a logistics station to protect the Port of New Orleans from attack, as well as a shelter and training center for the unemployed and homeless during the Great Depression, and later as a recruiting and training station for multiple military branches. It was deactivated and sold to the City of New Orleans in 2011 to facilitate its redevelopment. The complex is currently vacant and primarily consists of 3 84,000 square foot, 6-story buildings within an approximate 1.5 million square foot site. All 3 buildings are listed under Criteria A on the National Register of Historic Places due to their military history. The developer's plan calls for mixed-use buildings with 295 affordable residential units, with a local grocery store as a primary first-floor retailer. The vacant lots included in the development will be transformed into recreational areas for residents. Recreational areas will include walking trails with native and pollinator plants to support the bee and butterfly populations, and a stage for local music and events to promote further music culture in New Orleans. The flat rooftops of the buildings are slated to become a site for solar panel installation to assist with powering the property and storing energy for power outages. Energy efficient appliances are included in the build-out as well. There will be no displacement of residents included in this project. Alternately, affordable housing will create placement and housing for local residents.
Can you just talk about, you got the funding distributed over a number of years? Take us through what's happening, what's the scope for each year?
Yeah, of course. So the first year, 2024, that's going to be the first year that we have access to the funding, and what we have programmed is just a small bit for personnel and travel. So attending the national conference, which is basically mandatory for this type of work, but personnel to begin reporting and working out all the details for the grant. So for the following 3 years, this was just split evenly, the remaining total for the grant, which is total $2 million, but split evenly over 3 years to actually do the work. So we have a 4-year timeline. The grant has to be spent 4 years. So it could take less time, but not more.
So the grant expires then in 2027.
I believe so. 2028, so.
Okay. What is the developer doing? Is he doing anything right now?
Well, they had applied for, HUD funding, for $34 million, and it was contingent upon remediation of the property. So this small $2 million grant opens up that window, and so they're moving forward with a $34 million HUD loan, for the renovation of the property.
Now, the remediation, is this a result of, the building's basically been sitting since the city took over control, so, I would have assumed that the Navy would have I think they've done several renovations in the building throughout the course of their occupancy, and I would assume that, that would have been a previous remediation of any lead or asbestos. Is this, remediation of mold or other environmental, contaminants that may have introduced themselves during the vacancy of the building?
It's a combination of both, actually. There are phase 1 and phase 2 assessments that were done on the property showing asbestos, and petroleum hydrochloride. There was also a leak of an above ground storage tank, that was partially cleaned up by the LDQ, but had seeped into the soils that surround it. So there is asbestos on site. There are hydrochlorides and petroleum on site, and also the mold for the buildings being the HVAC has not been working, so the mold has built up in several of the buildings as well. So it's a combination of those two things.
Does this scope cover the cost of conditioning the building?
No.
So there other funds are gonna have to be introduced. Now, is that gonna be provided by the developer, or is that?
It's part of their HUD application.
Okay.
Yeah. Actually, the remediation costs that were shown outweigh this $2 million grant. So it's actually more than that. It's actually about $5 million, just for the remediation of the site. So this is a piece of that pie, but it did open up that other funding to show that at least partially the remediation is being taken care of and funded.
Okay. Does the developer have we're showing, well, the grant expires 2027, so we're showing implementing the scope of the grant. Does the developer have a companion schedule for bringing the building back into commerce?
They're working on that. I haven't seen that schedule yet, but they're just getting into providing that schedule, and there are meetings being held with Jeff Schwartz in economic development, so he may have more of an idea of where they are in that process.
Gotcha. Okay. I don't have any other questions.
And Vince and Miguel, since, as Carrie mentioned, the total project cost for the remediation is, close to $5 million, should we put the estimated total cost of the project, is that in the report on the grants as shown?
Are you going to be pursuing any city funding to supplement that?
Yeah, where we stood, at least when we submitted the grant, was that the developer was going to provide the
additional funds. No, if you've got in your narrative that, if you address this in the narrative, then I think that would be sufficient.
Okay.
Any additional costs would be provided by the developer. Okay, I think it might be good, we're putting this in the capital program, which means it's gonna move to planning, the council and public. It probably would be good if we could get the developer to provide a schedule so that we can show, we can demonstrate the path that the partnership is producing. So if you could ask him for that, it would be great if we could include it in the path.
Absolutely.
And it really would be great too if he's got some kind of presentation or something that, shows the overall plan. Okay, That's all I have. Okay.
Yeah, I'm ready to.
Okay,
All right.
thank you.
Thanks.